So what is the argument for a journalism organization to refuse to interview the leading candidate for president?
Well, for starters, it's a journalism advocacy organization. It is not a newsroom. And so this organization that has been advocating on behalf of Black journalists since 1974 takes positions. They give thumbs down awards to newsrooms like Fox News. They have been critical of this president in public statements where he disparaged Black women journalists. And so they don't actually have to cater to any of these individuals or even host them or interview them if they don't want to, because they're not a newsroom. And so weaponizing journalistic, ideals and principles in this type of way for an organization that has definitely made positions on how they feel about this particular president and how he's treated the free press, it just doesn't stick, because look what he's done. Look what he's done.
But let me ask you this. You're right, they don't have to. But
no.
What it sounds like you're saying is also that the members of this organization, as an advocacy organization, the leaders of this organization, can't and won't and even shouldn't cover this campaign objectively. Is that an unfair assessment of what you just said?
It is a completely unfair assessment of what you just said. To be very clear, there was various ways that they could have, spoken with the president. I think to do it in this way in person, to do it in this live event, to not even give the opportunity to the Vice President Kamala Harris. Initially, they did not even allow her to do it virtually. So the narrative around objectivity on both candidates, while you're treating this as if it's in favor of Trump, is actually the lack of support for Kamala Harris, because I don't know if you read the reports, but she wasn't even allowed to have a virtual option until recently when there was pushback from the organization. So there was a lack of objectivity in placing the fact that Trump was coming in person compared to Kamala not even getting an opportunity to do virtually because she had to attend a funeral.
Let me play, this is Ken Lemon, the president of the NABJ, speaking out about the controversy. Let's listen.
It's absolutely not an endorsement. Every year, every presidential election cycle, we invite the presidential candidates to come. We extend that to anyone who is a nominee. This is an important time. This is a great opportunity for us to vet the candidate right here on our ground. It is our jobs as journalists to have those uncomfortable conversations so that the people who count on us to inform them get the information from the source. And I hope, as a journalism organization, National Association of Black Journalists, we take that portion seriously.
Both were invited. I mean, isn't he making a fair point?
He's not being honest about the nature to which the invitations were given and what the parameters were to allow them to. Let me be very clear. Trump would have not sat there if a Fox News moderator was not present. There was a lot of concessions that was made to accommodate Trump in ways that were not given to Vice President Kamala Harris. So if we're going to talk about objectivity and fairness, let's be clear about the parameters to which this program took place and the lack of transparency and honesty from the national organization when it came to hosting Trump. At the end of the day, they're in the news, they're relevant, everyone's talking about it, but it did a great disservice to a lot of the Black journalists who put on incredible panels that have now been rescheduled, been removed, and a lot of people not given a heads up.
Let me play another back and forth, because I do think that there were very tough questions asked, which I would think would be the whole point. But let's listen. This is number 2.
Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, inclusion?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
give me a
definition
definition then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
no,
a very direct question.
Define it for me, if you would.
I just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much, and she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
I mean, aren't these the sorts of questions and answers, or more importantly from your perspective, questions that you would want asked? And so as a result, isn't this exactly what you should be advocating for?
What's missing here, respectfully, Dan, is that wasn't the space. That convention and what it represents to the community, the members who pay dues, to be berated, to be insulted in that type of way, for our intelligence to be insulted, for an entire convention to be, that convention is more than that. It was not the Donald Trump rally. It wasn't the Donald Trump, opportunity for him to spew lies. There's a time and place for everything, and I do not think that convention and the space for that was not the place for that. Right. I just think that the backlash that's going to continue to come from this is going to confirm that. I mean, this was a circus, and a lot of prominent journalists and media critics are looking at this and are already calling it a disaster.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.